This Chinese Grand Prix had everything. A young driver finally taking his first ever F1 victory, Lewis Hamilton achieving his first ever podium with Ferrari, a possible Ferrari rivalry slowly brewing up, and one of the worst race weekends for Red Bull and Max Verstappen ever in a long time. And the biggest surprise? The driver who dominated this race has just announced himself as a serious title championship contender. I am the Greek guy, and let's quickly dive into all of this, shall we? Alright, the Chinese Grand Prix, the second race of the season, is finally done. And as you might know, this was a sprint weekend, so it was just one practice session and then it was straight away to sprint qualifying. And then we had sprint following. So yeah, who won the sprint? It was George Russell, another win for him this season after Australian Grand Prix. And then he was followed by Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, a double Ferrari podium in the sprint. And then we had Lando Norris, Kimi Antonelli, Oscar Piastri, Liam Lawson, Ollie Bearman, Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon. But these were the top 10. And also, in the sprint, it's just the top 8 who are awarded with the points. So it was till Oliver Bearman who got the points. And yeah, another good drive from Ollie. He managed to take that Haas up into the top 8 and managed to score the points. And we will talk about him in a minute, how he performed in the race. Brilliant, but yeah, we'll dive into that. And apart from that, the main story was Kimi Antonelli. He was running in P2 and then he had a 10 seconds penalty when he collided with Isaac Hadjar on lap 1. He had a very bad start. I mean, this was 2 in a row for him after Australian Grand Prix. And then he fell back dramatically to 8th or 9th on the grid. And then in order to quickly recover the places, he was being a bit desperate. And then he just collided into Isaac. And then post sprint, the onboard was a bit spicy, wasn't it? It was Kimi who comes to apologize to Isaac, and then Hadjar just shoos him away. He just flips and he says to go away because there is a differentiated opinions here online. So some say it's rude of Isaac to just shoo Antonelli away, and some say it's obviously correct on the part of Hadjar, why he did that. And yeah, some take Kimi's side, but some try to defend Hadjar. But I feel it's a lot of adrenaline just after the sprint. And Hadjar is obviously angry because he was in the top 8. He qualified well for the sprint, and then he just, because of the collision, he just dropped off, and then he couldn't recover to the points again. And he struggled mainly because he started with the soft tire, and Red Bull mainly wanted to learn how the softs look, at least for the race, but then that did not happen. So yeah, frustrations from him, and then it was also right from Kimi to go and quickly apologize. But yeah, it's just the heat of the moment. I think they will definitely would have talked about it. It's just the fans and the online social media, it's brewing up. So whatever it is, yeah, another driver drama, but that should be okay. And also another big story was the whole sprint itself. The sprint started and then it was all the way till lap 19, the end of the sprint. It was Mercedes versus Ferrari. I genuinely expected that. Of course, Ferrari is going to have a great start when the lights go off, and then they're going to just fall back behind Mercedes. Eventually Mercedes will catch up, and then it's the same story again. But yeah, this is a shorter format. We don't have so many laps. We don't have pit stops. We don't have the scenarios where, right, we have some safety cars or virtual safety cars, and then some strategic blunders might advantage one team over the other. So Ferrari was right up there with Mercedes. Like it was a yo-yo racing again. Russell took back the place, but then Hamilton fought back, and then it was Russell again, and then the Ferraris were too close to the leader. And the fun part was how Charles Leclerc was being a bit cheeky. It's like, from what I observed during the sprint, Leclerc just sat behind Lewis and George, and he just preserved his tires from what I felt. And then when the dogfight happened between Lewis and George, and then George eventually took the first place, and he was settling down quite slowly, but eventually. And then Leclerc decided to take it to Hamilton. He started attacking for the second place, and it was a bit cheeky, but that's racing. So nothing wrong from Charles Leclerc. But another interesting part which might have upset Lewis's fans is when he complained on the radio saying that the drivers should know about the space. The drivers, if Lewis knew how the cars are right now, how big they are, and what amount of space does he have to give Leclerc. And yeah, I mean, the problem with fans now is that Charles was being a bit cheeky in the beginning, which is fine. And then he decided to attack Hamilton when Hamilton's tires started to go off. But then complaining on the radio did not sit well with most of the fans and the audience. And then also post-sprint in the media pen, when he said that he was trying to defend Lewis so that he could go and catch George, and then his teammate was sort of, like trying to fight his own teammate rather than trying to get the best result for Ferrari. So yeah, that was a bit frustrating, especially for Lewis fans. But yeah, I feel it's start of something, at least in Ferrari. Like it's slowly building up, and the brewing is real. So they have these aggressive wheel-to-wheel battles. It was there in Australia, it was there in sprint now, and also in the main race. But drivers being upset over each other and the way they have to go racing was something that creates a bit odd in the dynamics. And for us fans, that's a bit exciting, that's a bit interesting, and that's a bit spicy. And this is all we want to watch during the races. But yeah, I mean, two very fast drivers, and Hamilton back to his absolute best. So we have to wait. That's a curiosity on how it goes, how it progresses over the season. I am waiting for it. Yeah. Right. Moving on from Mercedes versus Ferrari. The next thing was McLaren. I mean, they did not fall off from Mercedes and Ferrari. They did good. They tried to be within like 3 to 4 seconds behind them, and another good result for them. Lando Norris, he had a decent race, and yeah, of course the safety car benefited him and the other drivers, because when they tried to double stack, it was a bit hurting for Antonelli and Piastri, but then Norris was in the front, so he gets the first pit. Nevertheless, good result for McLaren, and we'll talk about them in the race in a minute. But yeah, coming to the sprint, it was a good result for them. And then, like I said, Ollie Bearman into the points, and also Liam Lawson, top 7 again. So I predicted him as the underwhelming driver, but I was completely wrong. We'll get on to my predictions in a while, but Liam Lawson, good drive again. He managed to score some points for Racing Bulls as well. This was the sprint. And I mean, it's a bit of a mixed bag with fans and audience when it comes to sprints. So some people criticize the format, some people like it. especially when the racing gets harder and spicy. And definitely with this generation of cars, it was wonderful to watch. At least short amount of laps. This sprint format, it's a treat. I mean, China in general, it's a good circuit, so you can fight it out. The tires, the strategy, the usage of batteries, harvesting, everything comes into play. But I think it should be good for the other tracks as well, especially when there are more cornerings. It should be more benefiting Ferrari, and that should provide them a bit of more comfort to challenge Mercedes. All right, now moving on to the main race today. It's Kimi Antonelli who won the race, and then it was George Russell, another 1-2 strong finish for Mercedes, and then Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, Ollie Bearman, Pierre Gasly, Liam Lawson, Isaac Hadjar, Carlos Sainz, and then Franco Colapinto. Very, very random top 10 outside of the top 4. But we have to talk about Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Wow. Superb drive. Brilliant drive. First ever win in his career. And the awesome part is that the way he won the race, I mean, he won this race on his pure pace. Like, he was so much criticized for his start. He had a bad start in Australia. He had a very bad start in the sprint this weekend. But yeah, he got a brilliant pole position. Of course, it was Russell who had problems with the car. I feel it Russell at the edge, but he capitalized on that brilliantly, and then he got his first pole position for the main Grand Prix. And he got a good start, finally. But then, yeah, obviously the Ferraris are good during the launch, and then Lewis Hamilton managed to get the P1. But yeah, calm under the pressure. He just eventually got back the place, and then from then on, it was all about his race management, his pace management, especially how he looked after his tires, and there was no going back. Brilliant drive, and he beat his teammate George on pure race pace. Like, we know how we saw George in Australia, how he won the race. We also saw how he won the sprint. Dangerous race pace. He had this edge over his teammate Kimi Antonelli. But I had this feeling that he is gonna win his first race here in China, and I also predicted that in my predictions video. Spot on. He won the race. So yeah, the way he drove this race was marvelous. Short of words, like, he had the pressure from the Ferraris, especially Lewis Hamilton. There was a safety car, and the safety car restart, he had a better start than George Russell. George Russell fell off 2 places when there was a safety car restart. Kimi just managed to be calm and then get a good start by managing the pack. And then, yeah, and his race pace was, wow, beauty. And George eventually managed to get his place back, and then he got back his place from the Ferraris, and then he came to P2, and Kimi made sure that George doesn't come anywhere near him. The whole race, if you see, the minimum time gap between George and Kimi was 5 seconds. It was nothing less than that, and Kimi made sure he's 5 seconds or above behind him. And that's what I mean to say with the race pace, and also how he managed it brilliantly. So yeah, whatever it was, I don't know. George wasn't struggling, looks like that during the race. But yeah, amazing drive. And in my last video, I said that he could pull off a 2025 Oscar Piastri, and now we are seeing a clear signs of that. Last season, it was Lando Norris who was the heavy favorite to win the title, but then Oscar showed up out of nowhere. He was very, very consistent, in the first part of the season, and he led the championship for most part of it. And yeah, Kimi Antonelli, he is doing that. And you see the pattern, doesn't it? It's Lando who won the race in Australia last season, the opening race, and then Oscar got him back in the Chinese Grand Prix. The same thing happened right now. I don't know the consistency yet, but I really feel that he will have his consistency this season. Kimi Antonelli, George won the race in Australia, and now he managed to win in China. And I think with this win, this dominant win, the way he won the race, he has just announced himself, saying that I am a serious title contender here. It's not just my teammate who is the heavy favorite. Don't write me off. I am here. And I will contend my teammate, and I'll fight for him. I'll fight him for the championship. Brilliant drive. And another sweet moment, post race, when there was when they talked with the host, he was so emotional. He got his first win, and the way he backed his team, his parents. So that shows how much it meant to him, the first win. And I think he'll be very happy. He will be very comfortable. He will be very, very confident and happy the way he won it. I'm stressing on this fact, the way he won the race, because he did not get his win with any benefits. There was no chaos. There was no safety car advantage in the pits, or there was no DNF or any issues with his teammate George, who is very, very strong at the moment. He just drove the whole race. No drama, pure pace, good management, and being in his just second season, he dominated. He looked like an experienced driver on how they win races. So that was the most interesting part. And he's gonna give a tough fight to Russell, and we are there for all of it. I'm very excited. I'm very much looking forward to it, or else it would have been a one-way horse fight. So I don't want, or in general, the fans don't want to just see one driver walking away with the championship. At least if you have a teammate with the same car, you at least want to see him fighting his teammate, who is a possible heavy favorite. But Kimi is doing just that, and look out for him. Watch out for him. He's gonna win more races, and I think he will be a serious title contender, and I wouldn't write him off just yet. So congratulations to him, first ever F win, and first ever win for him. It should be a great feeling and a great moment, and I hope he enjoys it to the maximum. And then the other highlight of the race, Sir Lewis Hamilton. In my predictions video, I said he's going to be back, and boy, he is back. First ever podium with Ferrari, and he had to wait 14 months to get his first podium with Ferrari. That's an absolutely brilliant story. You take 2025 Lewis Hamilton, you take this year Lewis Hamilton, miles apart. He completely looks like a different person right now, and he's very happy, which is good. And the way he drove this race was excellent, and he got the better of his teammate Charles Leclerc. Absolute watch. And we know last season how it went for Hamilton with Ferrari. He was beaten off completely. He was depressed, not getting up to speed, absolutely dominated by his teammate Charles Leclerc, and many fans, many audience wrote him off. They said this is eventually or possibly going to be his last season this year, and he's either going to retire or Ferrari is going to look for other options. But the comeback is crazy. He's a different driver altogether right now, and the way he drove today, and the way he managed to fend off Charles Leclerc, and also the way he remained calm when he had this will-to-will battle with Charles. That's some glimpses of flashbacks we saw Lewis in 2021, 2020, especially in 2018 and 2019 when he had this fight with on-track fight with Sebastian Vettel, where most of the time Ferrari had the upper hand, but then he looked brilliant in Mercedes, and now that looks like it, and he was very good. And then the way him and Charles Leclerc had to will battles during the race, that was something amazing to watch. And they were not quite happy about that in the sprint, the way they went racing, but that was a bit opposite in the main race where they enjoyed it. And Charles even came on the radio and said that that was a fun battle with Lewis. And also Lewis in the post race, he said that it was a good will-to-will exciting race with Leclerc. So also if you see by the end of the race, when he crossed the line, he had put up 3 seconds between him and Charles, and the will-to-will battle happened like 7 to 8 laps before. So that showed us the race pace that he had and the way he could preserve his tires brilliantly and also manage his pace. That was something good. And I just want to say to you Lewis fans is that he is back to his absolute best. I mean, I am someone who is watching F1 since ages, and I have seen him in his McLaren days, and I have seen him in 2013 Mercedes days, and then 2014 to 2021 turbo hybrid era, and also in the ground effect regulations till 2024. I know how Lewis performs by just looking at his personality and behavior during the race weekends, and that was clearly evident last season in 25. So it was just gloomy, and just looking at him we knew that he's just struggling and he's just not right up there. And also seeing his teammate having good races and multiple podiums, it completely got to his mind. And now this season Lewis Hamilton, like I said, it just takes me back to 2018, 2019, 2017, where he was excited to just go and drive every race weekend, and he was not struggling. He did not show any signs of that, and now is a starting proof that he eventually got his podium with Ferrari. He did not manage to do that last season, but now he got it. He's gonna get his win definitely this season. I mean, the Ferrari, it's a strong car, and there are circuits which will benefit Ferrari more than it benefits Mercedes. Hungaroring, Monaco, Singapore. So and Lewis will get his win, and that will be what a story it's going to be. I mean, this is Lewis Hamilton we are talking about, and like I said, many of the fans, many of the pundits wrote him off. It's just sad to see, but then the way he was struggling couldn't be complained about, but the comeback is marvelous, and I think he's just silencing the haters at least, and he's back to his best, like I said. And again, first podium with Ferrari, so congratulations to him, and Sir Lewis Hamilton is back. And then the other thing that I enjoyed during the race was the midfield battle, during the race, especially with Haas and Alpine. That was very fun. That was very exciting to watch. So we had Mercedes and Ferrari battling it out in the front, and then the midfield was fabulous. So we had the safety car restart. I think it was Franco Colapinto, and then we had Ollie Bearman, and then we had Gasly, and then Ocon, and Max was obviously behind. And then the safety car restart. Once the safety car restart was done, I think it was for 8 to 10 laps almost, that these 4 cars, Haas and Alpine, the on-track battles, it was just amazing. It was at one point of time when the Franco Colapinto was when the safety car came out and the team split, Franco was P2 and then Ollie was P3. But then in the safety car restart, then the Ferraris eventually managed to get them. But then we got this Haas, Alpine. So that's when the fun started, and it was a yo-yo racing again. Then Ollie fought with Colapinto, then Colapinto got it back, and then it was Bearman again. And then behind it was Gasly and Ocon, and then there was another yo-yo racing, and then we also got Max Verstappen into the mix, who managed to overtake these cars eventually. But Haas versus Alpine, I mean, these two are the teams right now who has the potential to become the best of the rest in the Constructor Championship, and also throw in Racing Bulls with them. And I feel it's going to be a three-way fight with these three teams. I mean, when I was watching the race today, it looked like 2020 season all over again. When in 2020 we had a three-way battle to the rest of the best of the rest in the Constructor Championship. It was the McLarens, the Racing Points, and then the Renault. And that Constructor Championship fight went all the way till Abu Dhabi. And that was decided, I think, 4 to 5 laps before the race ended, where I think the Racing Point and the Renaults had a couple of issues. And then McLaren had a bit of an edge with the points, however, but eventually they managed to win it. So this is something similar to that. Alpine, Haas and Racing Bulls. So we had the first race of the season where Lindblad had a strong finish with the points. We also had Gasly in the points. Now we have a double points for Alpine. That is very good. And Colapinto getting his first points for Alpine. He did not do that last season. So I think they're benefiting well with the Mercedes engine. They're not right up there, but it's quite obvious because it's the first season with the PU. And it takes some time for them to sort of understand and get up to speed with how to drive or how to optimize the performance from the power units, which is the first time for them. But nevertheless, good double points for them, and Colapinto finishing in top 10. Strong drive. And also Haas. We have to talk about Ollie Bearman. Brilliant P5. I mean, of course, the McLarens were not there in the race. They had car issues. They did not manage to start the race, but who would have thought? I mean, we either thought it's going to be Max Verstappen, or it's going to be Isaac Hadjar, or it's going to be Gasly, because Gasly had a brilliant qualifying and then we thought he would finish up there now that the McLarens are not there. But what a drive from Ollie Bearman. I mean, yeah, the race I saw in Mexico last season, the race he had, the way he drove and the way he defended Verstappen, I thought something special lies with him. And today's race as well, Max Verstappen, he overtook Gasly, he overtook Ocon, he overtook Colapinto, and then it was Ollie Bearman. And that's it. He couldn't overtake Bearman, and it was 2 to 3 seconds. Ollie Bearman made sure that it's 2 to 3 seconds between him and Max Verstappen. But eventually Max had to retire with the car issues. But on pure pace, he was quicker than Max, he was quicker than his teammate Ocon, and he was quicker than the Alpines. I mean, yeah, this kid is something. And Ferrari, their future is very bright and their future is very good. They have him. He is eventually going to drive for Ferrari some point of time. But wow, brilliant drive. And he is getting used to these Ferrari power units with Haas. And I think he is going to get a podium. This is going to be my bold prediction. I'm doing it on the go. And I rate Ollie Bearman so high. I rate him very highly. And he's going to get his first podium this season. That Haas is only going to improve. They have one of the strong power units with Ferrari, and their car looks decent, at least with reliability, and they don't have any issues. And he has this edge over his teammate. And I think one or two DNFs from the top teams, or one or two bad moments from the front runners, I think it's going to benefit him. He is going to be there to capitalize, to maximize every opportunity that he gets, and I think he's going to get that podium. And yeah, brilliant drive. And apart from that, we also have to mention Pierre Gasly. What a qualifying result for him. He managed to out-qualify both the Red Bulls and the Racing Bulls. And he also had a strong race as well. He managed to finish P6. So he had this moment with Max Verstappen, and he fell off to P9 or P10, but then he managed to recover, and he was catching Ollie Bearman. So we thought it's going to be a good fight, but then Bearman was in a strong position, like I said. But yeah, Pierre Gasly, strong qualifying, good position to start the race in, and then brilliant drive, good race management. Another strong points finish for him and Alpine. I mean, those who have seen the 2021 season know what Pierre Gasly was. 2020 and 2021, especially 2021. So we had this championship fight with Lewis and Max. They were the clear front runners, and we had Bottas and Perez in the other Mercedes and Red Bull, who managed to finish on the podiums. And then it was Lando Norris, who had a very good season, and he was there, right up there with the McLaren. But amidst all of this, it was Pierre Gasly who was consistent in the top 6, top 5. He was so underrated that season. He managed to get a podium. So we had this Baku where Max Verstappen crashed during the race, and then Lewis Hamilton had this lock-up moment, the last lap when there was a restart. And then Gasly was there. He brilliantly fought with the Ferrari, with Charles Leclerc, and he got his podium that season. He managed to get a podium. So that's how strong Pierre Gasly is, and I think we are seeing that version of Gasly this season with the Alpine. He just needed a strong car that could benefit him to fight in the races, and he drove very well today. He fought with the Haas's brilliantly, and I think, if they bring good upgrades on the car, on the chassis, and if they keep improving and trying to understand the Mercedes PU, it's going to be a strong season for Gasly. And I think Colapinto also, he managed to get the points, and I think if he's consistent with the car, Franco, if he doesn't manage to crash, he's a bit crash prone, but if he gets the better of that, I think Alpine would achieve a strong result this season. And also Ollie Bearman in Haas. And Ocon, he was in the points, but then he fell off outside the points. I don't know what happened, but it was the crash with Franco Colapinto, right? It was the crash, and then Ocon came on to the radio and he said that it was his fault, but eventually he lost top 10 finish. But with Ollie Bearman providing strong results for Haas, if Ocon also managed to get points, decent points for the team, and also throw in Lindblad and Lawson also, Liam Lawson, he had a good race, managed to get the points for Racing Bulls, which is why I am saying that a three-way fight in the midfield for the best of the rest is something to watch out for, with Haas, Alpine and Racing Bulls. 2020 all over again. Brilliant drivers in all the three teams. This could get very excited, and I would feel that this could go all the way to Abu Dhabi, to the end of the season. And I don't know if we'll have an exciting fight for the championship in the front, but this would definitely give us good, interesting stories for the battle for the midfield among these three teams. And then we also have to talk about the McLarens. Both the drivers did not start the race. They had car issues on both of them. Yes, it was power issues, but it was different issues in the power units for both Lando and Oscar. And it is surprising to know that this is the first ever DNS for Lando in his entire F1 career. I mean, he has had DNFs, quite a few DNFs over the course of his career, but this is his first ever DNS. So he has started each and every race that he was in since 2019, and this is the first race he couldn't start. And also for Oscar Piastri, it's a bit saddening to see that, because he did not start the race in Melbourne. He had that crash in the formation lap to the grid, and then now the car problems with McLaren. So he's 12th in the championship right now. Let me see. Yeah, he's 12th in the championship with just 3 points he scored in the sprint, but no race points yet. He couldn't even start the race. So big shame for McLaren, and I hope they fix their issues or whatever the problems that they have with the cars, because they have some problems with the overweight problems, and many of the reports say that they have already started the weight reduction program, which is good, and I hope they get a good car in a couple of races. And then also they have the Mercedes PO, and they are one of the customer teams who are trying to understand the PO, and they are getting better and better every weekend. So if they manage to solve the problems, and if they manage to get the full understanding of the power unit that they have, they could be right up there with Mercedes and Ferrari. I mean, you have these two brilliant drivers in the team, excellent pace, raw speed, tried and tested, have this experience of championship fight. They have been there, and now they just need the car, and that could benefit them. I mean, Lewis Hamilton obviously there. It's new for George Russell, it's new for Kimi Antonelli, and it's somewhat new for Leclerc. He was there in 2022, but then he did not have this last race weekend shenanigans. He just fell off the first half of the season. But so this is where the McLaren boys have the advantage, and if McLaren give them a good car in the next few races, this could be a 6-way fight to the championship. I don't know if that has ever happened. I mean, since the time I have started watching F1, I have seen 5 drivers fighting it out. It was in 2010 when Vettel won the championship, but then I think 6-way fight to the championship could be amazing. So I hope McLaren works around the problem, and then they are back to their best in Japan. I mean, they had a strong sprint. They had good result, and then they also had decent qualifying as well. Placed that car where it has to belong at the moment right now with the pace they have. But it's a shame that they couldn't start the race, and we couldn't know how or what they could have achieved in the main race. So let's see how it goes for them, and I really have this opium that they fix the car and we get to see the best of McLaren again, at least for us to see a thrilling championship fight between 3 teams. So that's done. And we also had Albon and Bortoleto also did not start the race. They had hydraulic leak problem, I guess, with both of them, and Audi looked good. I mean, Nico had a good race. He finished P11. And then Carlos Sainz, he had a strong race with that Williams right now, and he managed to get the points in P9. Don't know how Albon would have panned out, and also don't know Bortoleto, because Bortoleto looked strong, got the first points for Audi in the first race, and I feel he could have drove well with the car if he had started the race. So that's another shame. And we also have to quickly mention Max Verstappen. Red Bull and Max Verstappen had a horrible weekend in a long time. Horrible sprint, did not manage to finish in top 8. Horrible race again. And the worst part is that the race starts Max Verstappen is one of the drivers who is amazing with the race starts, but terrible race starts, both the sprint and the main race. He dramatically fell off from where he started in the qualifying, and the worst part is he couldn't recover. Both in the sprint, he didn't have the pace of Ollie in the Haas, and the same thing happened in the Grand Prix. He did not have the pace to challenge Bearman in the Haas, and eventually the car decided to give up and he had to retire. That's just sad to see Max being in this situation right now. I mean, Red Bull really needs to fix their cars right now. Both power unit side and the chassis side, it doesn't look good. The reliability is not there. Even if they manage to fix the reliability with the PU, the car, the chassis is not good. They have one of the highest degradation with the tires compared to anyone else on the team, on the grid. So big work for them to do, and I hope they give Verstappen a good car. And moreover, he is not enjoying these regulations, isn't he? And on top of that, he is having this car to drive around the track, which is not a good picture. And I also hope for Red Bull to, I don't know if they could challenge in the front, but at least to have a decent pace to get few odd podiums or even a win when the chaos hits. But yeah, Red Bull has some work to do, and I believe Verstappen would fare well if he has a good car underneath him. And then Aston Martins as well. We also had both the Aston Martins retire during the race, and the funny part was Alonso, he drove most of the race and then he just retired the car. So that's another DNF. So we had so many DNFs, 2 McLarens, 2 Aston Martins, Albon, Bortoleto, and then Verstappen. So I think the reliability problem is still there with this new regulation of cars, but I think eventually it should be okay as the upgrades come in and as they try and develop the car over the course of the season. All right, that was it. Things I had to talk about with this race weekend, and things to discuss with you, the main key points and things what I saw and found it interesting. So it was a good race. First ever win for Kimi and first podium for Lewis with Ferrari. And good to see Haas and Alpine fighting in the top 10. So many random drivers not expected to be in the top 10, but then being in the top 10, something beautiful to watch. And well, quickly diving into my predictions and how did I do? Let's have a look. So, overwhelming driver of the weekend, I predicted Max Verstappen. Not correct. And bad weekend for him. So I hope he gets back strong. And then underwhelming driver, Liam Lawson. Definitely not. Bad prediction again. And he was one of the good drivers, good drive of the weekends, and one of the overwhelming drivers for me in this weekend. So, no, bad prediction again. And overwhelming team. So I predicted Audi. I don't know what to do with this prediction, but my feeling was they would finish in the top 10 or get a point, like how they did in Australia, but that did not happen. So it's not fair on my part to take the point for this. So again, bad prediction for that. And underwhelming team, Alpine, definitely not. So strong weekend for them, double points finish, and definitely not the underwhelming team. For me, in reality, after the Grand Prix, they are the most overwhelming team of the weekend. Sorry Alpine, I did not know your game, but you deserve every bit of praise you're getting right now. So bad prediction again. And then this is where the good part is. Let's look at the pole, P3, P2 and P1. So I predicted pole for Kimi Antonelli. Bang on. Pole position, Kimi Antonelli. Perfect. P3, Sir Lewis Hamilton. Bang on. Another point for me, Lewis Hamilton, P3, correct prediction. P2, George Russell, spot on again. P2, George Russell, another point for me, thank you. And P1, Kimi Antonelli. Wow. Life feels so good right now. Pole, P3, P2, P1. Bang on predictions. I don't know how I did that, but in the predictions video, I told you guys that I had this strong feeling Kimi is going to win it and Hamilton is going to get the first podium for Ferrari. Both of them happened, and yes, I told you when the Australian Grand Prix happened, I would get better with my predictions, and boy, I'm doing well. If not, at least with the first part, with the underwhelming and the overwhelming section, I did very well with pole, P3, P2 and P1, and I would get better with the overwhelming and the underwhelming part as well. So look out for that. Alright, so that was my predictions, and the Chinese Grand Prix is done. We have a weekend off and then we move on to the Japanese Grand Prix. But how was the race for you guys, and what do you think? Who do you think drove well? Who do you think was flop? And what are your thoughts on Kimi getting his first win and Lewis' first podium with Ferrari and the Ferrari on-track battle? Everything. Just drop it down, all of them in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. And if you have liked my work, make sure you like the video and make sure you subscribe to my channel. That would mean a lot to me. It means the world for me, and this helps me to get back to you with more good and quality F1 content. So don't go anywhere. I will be back with another video soon, and I'll see you in that video. Until then, cheers.